What's your thoughts on government cover-ups or covert societies attempting to control humanity? Do you believe in ancient astronauts, intergalactic communication, or extraterrestrial visitations? Ever had an experience with disembodied spirits or the paranormal universe? Are these subjects fact or fiction? Each week, Tony and Eddie explore these unbelievable realities and beyond. Exclusively on Truth Be Told.
Hello and welcome to Truth Be Told with Tony and Eddie, where we believe an experience becomes truth. I'm your host, Tony Sweet, and joining me now in studio is producer extraordinaire, radio host, and activist Dean Ryan is in studio while Eddie Connor is on vacation. Today on Truth Be Told, we have back with us a Trump supporter, political analyst, and tell it like it is, Roger Stone is with us tonight. It looks like Trump and Hillary is going to be the two people heading to the finish line in November. Roger will talk to us about what we can expect and the unexpected. And the biggest question, what would a Trump presidency look like compared to a Clinton presidency? Check out Roger's website, stonezone.com and rogerstone.com, and pick up his latest book of many titled Jeb and the Bush Crime Family. Please welcome to Truth Be Told, Roger Stone. And the best canned applause we can afford. Hey, Roger, welcome back.
Delighted to be here.
We are so excited because a lot has happened in the last 2 months since you've been here, and not just the book that you released that is amazing, Jeb and the Bush Crime Family, but now Donald Trump is going to be the nominated candidate for the Republican Party, and it looks like, more than likely, that Hillary will be. So this is a lot of information that people are like just trying to wrap their minds around. It's a strange election, an election we've never seen before. But you have been a big supporter of Trump from the beginning. You kind of predicted, I think you're kind of a psychic intuitive, because you saw a lot of what America was looking for, and now it's happening. So can you tell us kind of what the establishment of the Republican Party is going through right now? Because it's kind of trying to grasp straws here. So can you tell us a little about what you can think?
Yeah, I really think that the rise of Trump is a repudiation of 30 years of bad decisions, 30 years of bipartisan mistakes. Whether it is Bush, Clinton, Bush, Obama, the policies remained exactly the same. Endless war, erosion of our civil liberties, the Patriot Act, massive debt and borrowing, but big bailouts for swindlers on Wall Street. Meanwhile, the average person struggling to find a job or make ends meet. We have a foreign policy that's completely incoherent, but very, very expensive, and a trade policy that leaves us at a disadvantage, and immigration policies that leave our streets and neighborhoods unsafe. So the American people are tired of it all. They're tired of both parties. They're tired of politicians. They're tired of political institutions. They're tired of the media, because they just see the big media, the mainstream media, reinforcing the BS of the political class.
Right.
And they want a reformer. They want something really radical and different. They want an entirely different approach. And above all, I think, they want somebody who is not controlled by the special interests, who is not controlled by the lobbyists and the billionaires and the super PACs and the special pleaders. And that I think describes the rise of Trump. Now, he's not perfect, to say the least, but when he does seem to make political mistakes, they roll off his back. No one cares, because they are focused on the larger issues. It's almost funny to watch TV tonight. We're going round and round about whether Donald Trump impersonated a PR man on his own behalf 20 years ago.
I saw that.
Pardon me? What about Hillary's emails? What about how the guys died in Benghazi? How about the massive fraud that's going on at the Clinton Foundation, where pieces of America are being sold piece by piece in return for bribes? What about all of that? No, we're going to talk about whether Donald Trump impersonated a PR man 20 years ago when he didn't feel like taking a press call. It's almost comical. It really is.
Roger, wouldn't you say also the rise of Trump and the Republican Party is also a way of weeding out the neocon establishment? That's why he really doesn't care if he needs the support of a Paul Ryan, a Ted Cruz, or all the other rhinos and neocons. Wouldn't you say it's also he's weeding out and making it back to what Republican Party, some might say, used to be?
Yeah, I agree entirely. I mean, in all honesty, the endorsement of the Bushes is a negative. George W. Bush was a failed president. He ruined our economy. He also led us off to a foreign war where we had no national interests at stake. He caused the deaths of thousands of men and women, and he spent billions, which, of course, we had to borrow. So the Romneys, the Ryans, the Bushes, frankly, their endorsements are all a negative. I honestly think that when the Pope attacks Donald Trump, when the Chinese government attacks Donald Trump, when the former president of Mexico attacks Donald Trump, when the Saudis attack Donald Trump, when the Romneys of this world attack Donald Trump, all of those things have helped propel his candidacy forward. They've actually won him votes. If people will read that foreign policy speech he gave 3 weeks ago, it's a totally anti-neocon document. It is a very non-interventionist, Reaganite, Eisenhower-style, almost Ron Paul, peace through strength. Ron Paul believed in a strong national defense, but he didn't think we should go around the world looking for trouble, sticking our nose where it didn't belong and where we had no vital interests. So I think Trump is prepared to take us in an opposite direction. In all honesty, all these Republicans, the not Trump or never Trump crowd, and those threatening not to support him, Trump more than makes up for that in terms of the new people coming to the process for the first time. You have almost 3 million more people have voted in the Republican primary than the Democratic primaries. And trust me, they have been brought to this process by Trump. That's what they're coming for. So I am unconcerned that a handful of Washington and New York elites are not going to support Trump. That will be more than made up for with average people who are either coming back to the process because they left because they decided the process was rigged and their vote didn't matter, or new people who have been attracted to the process for the first time and see the possibility that Donald Trump could make this country great again.
Well, Roger, it's kind of interesting because the rise of Trump has really split the whole liberty movement, especially the Ron Paul supporters and the libertarian members. So they're very concerned about a lot of what Trump says, and you hear Trump talk about that he's a conservative, he's a Christian. Is he ever going to speak to that libertarian wing of not only just the Republican Party, but the purist Ron Paul supporters? Because they're very concerned about some of what Donald Trump says about the we need more of a police state. We need to build our military, which is the highest DOD budget in the world, and we need a wall. And if you remember what Ron Paul said 4 years ago, the wall's not going to be used to keep people out. It's going to be used to keep people in as a lot of people start fleeing the state. So is Ron Paul going to start speaking to the purist libertarian form of this country?
Well, he's already come out in favor of the audit for an audit of the Fed. He is unhappy with our unsound dollar, and the fact that our currency is in such bad shape. He is a non-interventionist. Look, is he a perfect conservative? Absolutely not. Is he a perfect libertarian? Absolutely not. Is he both more conservative and more libertarian than Hillary Clinton? Yes, without question. So, people, you can find all kinds of arguments. People say to me, I don't like his position on eminent domain. Well, that's fine. If you're incinerated by Islamic fascists, there will be no proper private property rights whatsoever. If you're worried about which bathroom transgenders can use, let me give you a hint. If you're nuked, there are no bathrooms. It doesn't really matter. So, on the one hand, I think he understands that we don't need to be marching off to unnecessary foreign wars and sending troops. And I heard this lie again tonight on CNN. There is no question whatsoever that Trump opposed the Iraq War. None whatsoever. And there is an interview prior at the very beginning of the war. Yet they continue to say that that is not true. It is emphatically true. I was around at the time. I was working for him. It is a fact. So, no, his candidacy is not going to be perfect. Look, as a libertarian, there's certain positions that he takes that I disagree with. But I like the fact that he's very skeptical about the war on drugs, that he said several times it's a failure, and that our drug laws, for example, need reform. And I'm very pleased that he went to a number of Ron Paul advisors for help on that foreign policy speech just weeks ago.
Wow,
So
I did not know that.
is he perfect? No. Is he better than the alternative? Without question. Hillary Clinton is a crony capitalist. She's not even a progressive or a liberal. She's just for sale. She'll sell her country out. She'll, for example, you can buy all the uranium production rights in the United States if you're a Russian company. All you got to do is grease the Clinton Foundation and grease the Clintons personally. So, the alternatives are what we have, Trump or Clinton, and to me, the alternative is very clear. I certainly don't hold that his candidacy or his issue positions are perfect. I disagree with him myself on a number of things, but on the whole, I still think he's a better choice.
What do you think about if, let's just say hypothetically that Bernie Sanders did win the nomination for the Democratic Party? Would it make a difference, do you think, in a lot of Trump supporters? Do you think they would go to Bernie?
Look, I think that Bernie and Trump are very similar on the issues of trade and war. And they're both, theoretically, I guess, to Hillary's left. On the other hand, I see almost no prospect for Bernie Sanders to get nominated, and therefore I think that there is a segment of the Sanders supporters, not the hard left voters, but his economic voters, his blue-collar voters, who realize that these giant globalist international trade deals like NAFTA,
Right.
like TPP, like TPA, they have destroyed the job base in this country, and they will continue to do so. They have not been anything near what we were sold by the Clintons and the Bushes. They have destroyed the fabric of America. So, I actually think that at the end of the day, about a third of Bernie's votes could be available to Trump. And in all honesty, I think Bernie Sanders put up a valiant fight. But in many cases, he has not attacked Hillary where she is most vulnerable. He continues to let her get away with the idea that she's an advocate for women when we all know she has abused women, particularly those women who were her husband's sexual assault victims. The mainstream media would like this to be about marital infidelity or adultery or girlfriends, so then they can say, well, that's within their marriage, it's really their own business, but it's really about something much darker. My book, The Clintons' War on Women, is excoriated on the Daily Beast today, I think because it is something the Clintons are afraid of. These are the facts of the Clintons' criminal record. I saw Chris Cuomo interviewing Donald Trump on CNN, I guess it was Monday morning or Tuesday morning, and he said, "You're attacking Hillary for her husband's indiscretions." Indiscretions? Ask Juanita Broderick. She was brutally raped and bitten by Bill Clinton, overpowered and raped. That's not an indiscretion. That's sexual assault. And then who actually, literally to her face, threatened her into silence the next day? Hillary Clinton. But when she tried to tell that to NBC in an interview, a producer jumps up and yells, "Cut! We're not interested in going there. This isn't about Hillary." Well, it is about Hillary. Her disastrous tenure as Secretary of State, the global fraud that is the global fraud that is the Clinton Foundation. All those things, I think, would have been salient issues for Bernie, but he did not pursue them.
You know, Roger, the Secret Service is reporting that this is the highest level of threat towards a presidential candidate, even more so than Barack Obama in the history of presidential election. And so, with that said, I do worry about an establishment VP choice that he's looking at putting in there, like a Gingrich or another neocon. And what I would fear is another repeat of what happened to Reagan, where some kind of effect like that happens, or some kind of false flag event happens right before he takes a nomination. Isn't it maybe a wise choice, and with your advice, maybe to get like an outsider, like a Jesse Ventura kind of a VP type?
Well, wouldn't that be great? Look, I totally share your concerns. I have written very extensively about the attempted assassination of Reagan in my most recent book,
Right.
The Bush Crime Family. Very proud of that book because the book discloses the fact that 4 of the 11 hijackers trained in Florida, right under Governor Jeb Bush's nose, and that no one ever did anything about it, despite 22 individual complaints from tipsters and neighbors. Jeb didn't know anything, didn't do anything about it. My book published with that information, and 11 days later he dropped out of the race. He dropped out, in all honesty, just ahead of Donald Trump raising this issue at the next debate. So the book achieved its goals, and because it's about the entire arc of crime of the Bush family, Prescott Bush, the patriarch, the U.S. Senator from Connecticut, George H.W. Bush, the vice president, who in my opinion was involved in the attempted assassination of Reagan, George W. Bush and his endless war. It's still a timely book, but even Trump in the last week has referred to my book on the Clintons, and I think will continue to do so. It is the definitive expose of Bill, Hillary, and Chelsea Clinton.
You know, with that said, Roger, too, as of yesterday, the blogger who tried to connect Cruz's dad with Lee Harvey Oswald, I don't know if you heard about this, but he was found suicided in his stairwell yesterday of an parent. I mean, that probably should be brought up. That is quite alarming.
Yeah, it's a strange coincidence, is it? Judith Very Baker, who is a good friend of mine, who was indisputably Lee Harvey Oswald's girlfriend from 1961 to 1963, according to the Warren Commission report, says that she knew Rafael Cruz very well. Rafi, he was called. He was part of Lee Harvey Oswald's crew. So I know the mainstream media likes to say, oh, this is National Enquirer stuff, this is so crazy. The problem is that the photo in question came from the Warren Commission report. Didn't come from the National Enquirer, and there's clearly a serious connection there. How relevant it is to this presidential election, I don't know, because Ted Cruz is done.
Well, here's another concern of mine is, if Donald Trump gets into office. What is to say that, just like happened to, I think, even Obama, where not a lot could get done because he didn't have the support either from his own party or across the aisle. Do you think once Trump gets into office that he would have the negotiating skills to open up both sides?
Well, I think that the way to do this, in all honesty, is to take your reforms to the American people and make a public appeal so that the popularity is such that those in the Congress have to get out in front of the crowd to make it look like they're leading the parade. I worked in Washington for 30 years, both in the Senate and the House, worked for 9 Republican presidential campaigns and 3 Republican presidents. Mm-hmm. Here's what I know. Politicians have one thing on their mind, re-election, and they'll vote for what they think is popular. If Trump puts his policies in front of the people and they're popular and he can sell them, then they'll get out in front of those policies and support them. So it's not just making a deal.
And why do you think? Because this keeps coming back to my mind. If Hillary has, we know her past, we know her history. Why is she still doing so well, even though she's struggling with Bernie, but she's still ahead? Why is she still a viable?
Well, because
candidate?
You and I know her history, but virtually no one else knows her history. Half the women who are going to vote in this next election are not old enough to remember the Clinton years. They have no frame of reference on Hillary, so when she says, I'm an advocate for women, they believe it. And unfortunately, Bernie Sanders has done nothing to dissuade them. This campaign hasn't even begun yet, so the fact that Trump is in range, slightly behind, but in range, and the fact that he's in a bunch of Rust Belt states where he should be hopelessly behind, he's right on her heels or even, tells me that this has the potential to be a very competitive race.
I mean, does it shock you? I mean, really, to see how far he's come?
No, because it really isn't about him in the sense that it's about how upset and angry the American people are about our failed policies. The neocon wars have left us broke. The trade policies have left us at a disadvantage. The immigration policies, as I said, have left us unsafe. People are completely fed up, and they're attaching themselves to candidates, Sanders, Trump, who they see as outside that failed system. Now, so I'm really not surprised. I don't think this could have happened 3 years ago or 4 years ago. I don't think the time was right, but I think the American people have finally hit their saturation point.
Donald Trump talks about the 28 redacted pages from the 9/11 Commission. Do you think he's fully aware of the real story, not the official story of that day on 9/11? Do you think he would be open to a real investigation of what took place. I mean, he's got to understand that Building 7 did fall into its own footprint in 7 seconds, which was the FBI, CIA building. He must be aware of those kind of anomalies in the 9/11 story, is he not?
I'm aware of them. I don't know how much of it he knows. I do know that he favors release of the 28 pages, which is the beginning of the process that you're talking about. And he's well aware of the fact that Hillary Clinton has taken $25 million from the Saudis fairly recently. So she won't be unclassifying that information anytime soon. You can bet on that.
Wow. That, yeah.
And it's where that I think he said Dick Cheney is now supporting Trump. Is that true?
Yeah, look, I really, knowing Trump for almost 40 years, he's not a man who's going to change his mind about the major issues and his major positions. And the neocons and the Wall Street crowd, they can come up with their CYA money, but you can't buy Trump. He's not buyable. I really don't think we're going to get a vice presidential candidate that displeases us. I think he gets it. I don't think you're going to see another globalist who is antithetical to Trump on every major issue. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think he's going to surprise us. I think he's casting a very wide net, but he's keeping his own counsel. And I was very happy to see that the Washington Post story that said that his aide Corey Lewandowski was leading the vice presidential search has now been completely debunked. That story is 100% false. It's time for the Washington Post to retract it.
You know, it's kind of comforting, Roger, that Trump does mention the toxicity and dangers of these vaccines. And I would only hope that he really looks into the CDC and the cover-up that's going on with the MMR vaccine. And I'm sure you're well aware of the new movie Vax that's just exploded because of Robert De Niro.
I'm very strongly opposed to it's what's in the vaccines that I think is problematic, and I am strongly opposed. I'm very pleased that he shares this view based on what he said publicly, and I suspect he'd be prepared to look at it more deeply. But it's just another example of independent thinking, and the fact that he's not a rote establishment thinker.
Right, absolutely. And right now there is a whistleblower from the CDC with all the information begging to be subpoenaed so we could put these criminals that were formerly the head of the CDC and now working for Merck. Hopefully we can have a real investigation into that and all the children that have been maimed from these dirty vaccines. And now here in California they want to mandate it with SB 277. So people are fleeing the states like California. This is a very dangerous time to be a child in America.
Yeah, I agree, but I don't need to tell you this. As soon as you raise issues like this, or you ask questions about whether it's the Kennedy assassination or what really happened on 9/11, the mainstream media immediately tries to label you as a conspiracy theorist. That's not a compliment, by the way.
Right.
Douchebags like David Brock attack you because you're some kind of kook because you refuse to believe everything the U.S. government tells you. It's an absurdity. Don't attack those who choose not to believe what the U.S. government tells them. You're entitled to believe the pap that they put out, but I think we all understand they virtually never tell the truth, and even when they try, they don't tell the whole truth.
Well, I would say that CNN and the big mainstream, I think they're the biggest conspiracy theorists. You know, we killed Osama bin Laden. We don't have pictures, but we buried him at sea and had a nice little prayer for him.
Yeah, even though that violates Muslim custom, but we had to get rid of the body quickly.
Oh,
yeah, something doesn't add up there. I mean, it's just common sense. Something just doesn't add up there. I'm making no charge, but why don't you show us the body if you got him?
Oh,
and why are we dumping it at sea, totally contrary to Muslim custom?
And the Navy SEALs all exploded in that helicopter fire and bomb that killed all of them that supposedly killed bin Laden. So
yes.
The anomalies in the lamestream, urine-soaked media is just
Be careful. They might call you a conspiracy theorist.
Well, I'm a conspiracy realist.
There you go. Yeah.
But I'm a truth teller. I reject the whole label. I just tell the truth as I find it. You know, they have attacked my books. They've attacked my book on the Kennedy assassination. They've attacked my book on the Clintons. My attitude is very simple. It's not about me. I'm not running for president. The books stand on their own. They're carefully sourced and footnoted. Read the book, make your own decision. Don't let somebody else decide for you. Read the book and make your own decision.
Absolutely, and that's why programs like this and other outlets that you've been on, you've been extremely embraced because, Roger, you're a critical thinker, and like you said, you're a truth teller, and that's so refreshing to hear, especially in the alternative media.
Well, I'm delighted to be back with you to talk about these subjects. It is, as you probably know, I've been banned at CNN. I've been banned at MSNBC. I want to thank them because my book sales went up sharply as soon as they announced both those things.
You're just very punk rock, Roger, what I tell you.
Yeah, what can I say? I use it now as an advertising tool.
That's right.
Roger Stone's book, get it now, banned by CNN.
I have a question because there's a lot of people that tune in, and I have to say, since you've been on, you are some of the highest rated of my shows on my podcast and on my YouTube channel and live stream. So we thank you for that. But a lot of people out there want to know, because you worked so long in the political system, when did you wake up? When did you start becoming the truth teller of how it really is and not have to kind of limit your ability of knowledge that you have? When did you really kind of wake up to like really speak your mind?
Really, when I left Washington right after 9/11, I started doing more critical thinking and reading. I moved to Florida, and I began reading a lot of alternative material that I had never had time to read before. Ironically, Arlen Specter was a very good friend of mine. I helped him win election to the U.S. Senate several times. Until I read the literature on the Kennedy assassination, I had no idea the role that he'd played, and the way he had bullied witnesses into saying what he wanted them to say, and how completely absurd the single bullet theory is. Literally impossible, scientifically impossible, and many, many other details of that case that are disturbing. So, I began writing. I began speaking out. I'm technically not even a Republican today. I joined the Libertarian Party, but in all honesty, they're crazy too. So, I'm not sure where I'll end up. Maybe like Ron Paul, like Teddy Roosevelt, I'll return to the Republican Party of my birth. Or maybe not. I don't know. Right now, I'm just pleased that Trump is doing so well because of the people it's driving crazy. You know a man based on his enemies. Look who's attacking him. That's why I'm supporting him.
You mentioned Libertarian Party, Roger, and I know you're a Libertarian member. Where do you see kind of the Libertarian Party going? Because what I see is now a lot of the neocons trying to infiltrate the National Party and really trying to make it what the Republican Party used to be before Trump. Do you see kind of the Libertarians now becoming the secretive neocon party, or do you see the purists trying to push them out with all the anarcho-capitalists that really see what's going on there?
Well, God, I hope not, because I am, vehemently opposed to the neocons. On the other hand, it is aggravating for me sometimes to argue with anarchists, because in all honesty, if you're an anarchist, dude, you shouldn't belong to a party. You got a problem there. We have rules in the party. I'm an anarchist. I don't believe in rules. Good, then leave, because this party has rules. Parties have to have rules. Now, you're entitled to be an anarchist. Just don't try to belong to a party. Those things are self-contradictory. That's my only problem. I've met many, many great people in the Libertarian Party who are anti-government, who are non-interventionists, who are supporters of strong money, sound money,
free market,
who are against the ridiculous, failed, expensive war on drugs. I mean, I feel most at home in the kind of the center of the Libertarian Party. I realize the party has right libertarians and left libertarians. The problem with the party, in all honesty, is it has virtually no one with any experience of actually winning elections, and that is a problem. Well, let me give you a hint. Standing on a street corner waving a sign that says Gary Johnson will not get you a single vote ever under any circumstances if no one knows who Gary Johnson is. Now, he's a great guy. He was a good candidate. He got 1 million votes. And had he gotten into the debates, he could have scored. But as you know, the Presidential Commission on Debates is not appointed by the president, is not a commission, is most definitely not about debate.
Do you see them in the major debates, the Libertarian Party coming
Not
up?
in my lifetime.
Because, I think...
Unfortunately, it's outrageously unfair. This fellow, John McAfee, very nice guy, talked to him. He actually thinks that based on the force of his personality and who he is, he's going to get in the debates. Zero chance. Zero. He can yell all he wants that he invented the antivirus stuff, and he can make jokes, and he can do a bad Bob De Niro impersonation, pardon me, Al Pacino impersonation, but he's still not getting in the debates. Mark my words.
But wouldn't he be maybe someone that Trump considers for a cabinet? Because cybersecurity is so important in this day and age.
It would be a very good appointment, although I can't speak for Trump, and I don't know who he has under consideration, to be honest with you.
Right.
I am confident that we're going to be pleased by the vice presidential choice. I do think he's going to pick another outsider who is not locked to the failed policies of the past.
So what do you think about one of Trump's or one or two of his first policies that he'll enact once he gets in office? Do you think it will be or have to be the wall?
Yeah, I mean, the wall is now a euphemism. We're going to start vetting people who want to come here, so the ones carrying bombs are denied. It's
Right.
not that hard.
Right.
There's a lot of good people who want to come here, law-abiding, peaceful people who are coming here for the promise of America. There are others who are coming here to kill people. And yeah, they have to be weeded out. That's not crazy. That's common sense. That's not racist. That's common sense.
But do you
I do think you're going to get an audit of the Fed. I do think you're going to get an examination of some of our past policies and why they have failed. So I'm very optimistic that he will continue to think outside the box.
How do you think Trump's going to bring businesses back to America? Because a lot of people say that it's going to cause a lot more problems and lose a lot more money just trying to.
Really, this is really not complicated. Drop the corporate tax rate below that of China and Mexico. We're at 35 today. They're at 25.
Oh wow!
Drop ours to 20 or even 15. And those companies will come back here immediately because it'll be cheaper and more profitable to do business here.
So
that's far preferable to tariffs, which I think will not work.
So why do you think that? Why do you think our present day and even past didn't do it in the first place? If it's
because they're globalists, they would like to have a world government. Ted Cruz's wife wrote an incredible paper on why we should combine the Canadian, U.S. and Mexican governments into one unit. That's the worst idea I've ever heard.
The North American Union, absolutely.
Exactly.
But, I mean, as homelessness is on the rise, homelessness in L.A., for example, there's 40,000 homeless in L.A., and it's risen by, I believe, over 5% since 2013. Do we see the manufacturing jobs coming back to solve that, or do we?
They could. We need a job boom. We need an economic boom in this country, and therefore we need tax rules and regulatory rules and policies that foster economic development instead of driving it offshore. And I think Trump, above all, as a businessman, understands that.
Right. I mean, we could bring innovative new manufacturing jobs. I mean, if we could bring hemp in this country, we'd have an amazing economic boom. That this country
Amen, brother.
soon.
Amen.
We could put these homeless people back to work. We can show them how to grow food, have farmers markets all over downtown LA, and I hope that's the kind of innovation Trump or whoever it is brings, because it would be incredible and bring back the sovereignty of not only the United States, but bring sovereignty back to the states, because that's what we're losing.
Gentlemen, I'm sorry to truncate this, but I am jammed up here, and it's Friday night.
No
if I
problem.
want to still have a wife and family, I'm going to have to go on along.
Well, we thank you so much, Roger, again, for coming on the show. We appreciate your knowledge and you sharing your truth. And, again, we hope to have you back soon.
Many, many thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
You
Thanks,
got
Roger.
it.
And
Thanks,
by the way,
Roger.
to get my books, you can go to rogerstone.com.
And get those damn books because they're amazing. Amazing.
Well, my publicist will kill me if I don't say this, but the Man Who Killed Kennedy, The Case Against LBJ, the Clintons' War on Women, and the Bush crime family. I think they'll open your eyes. Many, many thanks, guys.
You got it. We'll talk to you soon, Roger. Wow. You talk about a man that speaks the truth. I mean, there's a lot of people that I think, Dean, and you've been in this business a long time, longer than I have, that a lot of people are nervous and scared that they can't speak the truth.
Or they can't even ask questions like we just asked.
Right.
Even
because of the powers that be would tell them not to.
Right. I mean, even if with someone like Roger, who's very gracious to the show, there's a lot of things we probably don't agree on with Trump, but some people just want to, ask softball questions. And I think it's so important because it's very true that, the liberty movement is split.
Mm-hmm.
Can we just trust that Trump is a sleeper cell, patriot, or, should we call him out? I mean, it's so confusing because on one hand, personally, I love the fact that he's calling out all these swines in the political arena. I love that. And same with sometimes Sanders does it, not as much as I wish he did.
Right.
But I love the fact that these neocons that have gotten us in so many wars, they don't take care of the veterans, and they want to police the world. I love the fact that they're now getting called out. We're calling a spade, and that's, I think, when 2016 election's done, no matter who happens, I think that's what this will all be known for, is we are calling out the pigs that are in D.C. that have been, dumping on America for so long, And I think it is refreshing, no matter if you do support Trump or Sanders or whatever. I think that's from my observation. That's what I've seen it all as.
And I think, and I may be completely wrong, but I'm throwing this out there, but 2016 is like the Mayan calendar of 2012. It's the end of an era. It's an end of what we've known as a spiritual realm in 2012, the Mayan calendar, where spiritually a lot of people are starting to open up and breaking down different realms and closer to the other dimensions. And I think in 2016, with Trump and Sanders, have brought forth something we've never seen before in a political system, where it's breaking down these walls, and we're starting to see truths and tired of what we
the old paradigm.
The old paradigm.
This is the post 2012 awakening. I've talked about this in my talks. The political establishment is still using the 20th century mindset of control against people with, let's militarize the police, let's demagogues in certain issues, let's have the fabled enemies, which used to be in the 80s and before the Russians. Now we have the Muslims. Now we're going back to the Russians.
Right.
It's like we're living in Rocky movies. But no, your point is exactly true. We're so wide awake now, and it's only getting bigger. We can't go back to sleep. And here's something you might have noticed, Tony, and Sanders and Trump, some of their rhetoric and some of their positions are very Ron Paulian.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
very
and at the time, I think Ron was a little bit before his time, and people thought he was a little crazy back then, but I think now more people are seeing the truth.
Though his message has resonated in both sides, and he's kind of like the Obi-Wan Kenobi that he's a martyr for his beliefs.
Yeah.
And it is now spreading like he said it would. So it's a great thing to see. Yeah.
Well, let's take a quick break. We have to do a sponsor, and we want to make sure you guys hear about our wonderful sponsors. Take a listen. This is Grown by Nature. If you guys just go and listen to this ad, go to growbynature.com and type in Tony10, you get a discount. So don't go anywhere. This is Truth Be Told with Tony and Eddie, but sitting in for Eddie, Dean Ryan, the amazing radio host here. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
United States Pharmacopoeia, USP, sets the standard for most food supplements and are used in over 95% of all vitamin and mineral supplements in the world. The problem is that these products have never appeared in any living tissue. They're created in laboratories and are not recognizable to the body's metabolism. Grown by Nature products are different because they use renatured ingredients, proprietary blends of essential vitamins and minerals with cofactors of proteins, lipids, and complex carbohydrates. Over 50 studies have been conducted on renatured nutrients, and over 20 have been published in peer-reviewed journals proclaiming their superiority. As a result, Grown by Nature vitamins and supplements are now recognized as simply the best available. Call 877-817-9829. That's 877-817-9829 and order your Grown by Nature products today. We are what we eat, and since we are of nature, we should eat foods in their natural form. Only Grown by Nature offers a full line of renatured nutrients. Call 877-817-9829. That's 877-817-9829 because not all products are grown by nature, but they should be.
Do you suffer from anxiety, from depression, maybe even chronic pain? Well, listen up. Truth Be Told is going to tell you about a breakthrough program built on over 100 years of therapies used in America's returning veterans to help you successfully overcome PTSD, anxiety attacks, pain, and depression. The secret proven in study after study. Music therapy. The effects of music are nothing short of amazing. From strokes to PTSD, music has been shown to improve the quality of life. Now, one of the latest music therapy programs being used in America's veteran hospitals can be yours to experience for free, at home, and to help your own anxiety attacks, pain, and depression. Or just relax after a hard day. It's called Whole Tones. It takes music therapy to a new level. This revolutionary program makes use of specifically designed frequencies that have been shown to stimulate your body's natural healing power down to a cellular level. If it works for battle-scarred vets, can it work for you? Well, experience it for yourself for free at sweetwholetones.com. Like Tony Sweet, that's SWEET. Go to sweetwholetones.com. Now enjoy the show. All right, we're back. This is Truth Be Told with Tony and Eddie. I'm Tony Sweet.
Dean Ryan.
And we are here. We just got off the phone with the amazing Roger Stone, political analyst, Trump supporter, and he's been, I know he's been giving a lot of advice, even though he's not part of the campaign, because I think he started off as an advisor on the campaign itself. But Roger, if you guys just tuned in or tuned in halfway through, you need to make sure you go to truthbetold.webtv.com, watch the video. It's going to be up later in the podcast on iHeartRadio, iTunes. You're going to hear some amazing questions by both of us, but Dean kicks the ass on asking some great questions. And like the 9/11, I am curious to see if someone like Trump gets in there, because he's not part of the establishment where they're trying to protect other establishment members, to see if we can find some truths about 9/11 and certain things.
It's a house of cards, Tony. I
Yeah.
mean, it's really 9/11 that is kind of where we're at in a country.
Yeah.
It is
changed everything.
It is the be all. It's the flux capacitor of all the tyranny that we're living under in the police state and wars. It has to be examined. I mean, I think it was the Monica Lewinsky scandal. They spent like $50 million to investigate, and it was like 9/11 Commission. They only spent like $5 million.
Which, yeah.
And they fought it the whole time. And, it's my generation and some of your generation. Well, we're similar, but it's really our kind of age group, give or take a few years, that have fought these wars.
Mm-hmm.
Endless wars. And I mean, I know people, 5 tours in Iraq.
Wow.
People that are still in Afghanistan, and we have veterans that are coming home committing suicide, like 7 a day. They're on the psychotropic drugs. I mean, this is a serious problem.
Oh, totally. I mean, this is the problem that like I said, that if we don't deal with it now, I'm not for sure where our country's going to be in the next generation. I don't know if it's even going to be America anymore. I mean, definitely it's not the America that we grew up with as kids and our parents and grandparents. So it's going to be scary. And I'm going to put him on the spot. We have a young man in the studio. We have another Tony, and I want to ask Tony, get up to the mic real quick. Tony, you said you're kind of a Bernie. Actually, go to this one because that one's on. You're more of a Bernie Sanders supporter. But when you hear someone like Roger Stone, this is the first time kind of hearing who he is. What did you think? What did you think of him?
I think he kind of hit the nail on the head with the Bernie supporters, with like the younger generation. We hear all these stories about the families that just keep coming in, and it's just like a family, like
a dynasty.
Dynasty, yeah.
Right.
And now we see these guys against the establishment, and everyone I talk to, they're like, oh, everyone wants Bernie Sanders, and everyone's rooting for him, but you just can't get it. And
but what do you now? Did you hear him? Does it change your mind about Trump, or are you still fearful? Well, you may not have been fearful before. Do you fear Trump getting into the office?
No, this is my view, is what Roger Stone said, that if Bernie doesn't get the nomination, I'm probably looking at Trump, which is not too scary, but...
Is there any part that scares you about? Because, like, for me, there's certain things, like, many people I've heard, and you may have heard, like I said, behind the scene, Trump is a very nice guy and sits down, a great listener, but his public perception of how people perceive him is just like this erratic,
like a matador. Or
it's
right.
He just spurts out crazy things that could get us into a war. And I'm just, because a lot of times overseas leaders, they see what we see on television. So I mean, does that fear make you fearful or no?
Not really, because
Okay.
I feel that a lot would have to lead up to being a war. The other day, or a couple weeks ago, we had the Russian jets buzzed
Right.
the aircrafts, the ships, and that didn't lead to a war. So I don't think...
Trump, you know what Trump said? Shoot him down.
Shoot him down. But yeah, that's a lot too.
and that's what scares me. I mean, is he pandering?
Yeah, that's what I'm like.
Is it pandering, or does he really think that?
Because I won't go to war because I'm too old. You would go to war,
I know,
and I don't want you to go to war. So that's what scares me, because I have 2 nephews in the military, and I'm just like, I don't want somebody making that one decision, like a silly, erratic decision, that would put us in a predicament, especially with Russia.
Yeah, but I think a lot of powers that be would have to lead us to there. Like, those Russian planes probably buzzed it, and they were gone. And then the president got the call, and this happened. He's like, well, what happened next? He's like, oh, they left. So a lot will happen for that.
Like I said, it's going to be an interesting year. We've never seen an election like this before in our lifetime. I don't know if we'll ever see one like this again.
It's entertaining.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that much.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
I mean, he definitely took a reality show to it. Somebody said, that'd be kind of funny if he'd actually had like cameras following him just for another reality show in case he doesn't win. He'll be like behind the scenes.
Right.
But all right, well, we are out. Thank you, Tony, for pitching in on that one. And Dean, thank you so much. We have another hour with Sarah Adams.
Yeah, it's been great. And, people can follow me at The Real Dean Ryan on Twitter. I'm all over the place sporadically, but I am on top of this whole election.
You are.
Kind of what's going on and all the anomalies that we're seeing in the so-called media. So, like I said, truth be told is the best show out there today. And I'm not just saying that because...
You're sitting in front of me.
It is. You're not going to find this a lot of other places. And if they are alternative media places, you're not going to find the hardball questions that we're kind of wanting them to ask that a lot of people are thinking. So this is the place to tune in always.
Well, again, thank you for being here, and you're definitely we're trying to work on some stuff, but we're
not ready to unveil
not
the
yet.
future, but stay tuned for that.
All right, well, we are going to take a quick break, so you guys don't go anywhere. We have so much more. We have another hour with an amazing lady, Sarah Adams, and again, if you guys are just tuning in, tune in halfway through, go and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Truth Be Told with Tony and Eddie. Check us out on iHeartRadio, Truth Be Told with Tony and Eddie, and also on iTunes. We'd love to hear from you guys. Tell us who you want to have on the show. We will try our best. So we're going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. Right here on UBN Radio.